Hey, thanks for tuning in to Busting Beaks and Chasing Tails. I've got Carl Drake on the line. How you doing, Carl?
Doing great, Todd. Good to be here, buddy.
Yeah, you're one of my go-tos. I think you're the first guy to make a three-peat appearance here. So, uh, I got turkey season's coming. I know you're a great turkey hunter. I know you are a Prostaffer for HS Stutt, and I just kind of wanted to pick your brain on a few things and kind of talk about turkey season, if that's all right.
Oh yeah, man. It's coming up on us fast. I mean, in some places it's already happening. You figure Florida started second week of March, so they've been going strong down there. Ours doesn't come in till the end of April, but I know Missouri's in before us. But yeah, it's going to be here before long, and up here in the Midwest for us.
When are you hunting Kentucky as well?
Yeah, Kentucky opens up Easter weekend, April 16th. I'll be down there with my son. We're going to film, and then I'll slide up into Indiana. I may even finish out in Ohio there with Jeremy Mills and close out my season there.
Okay. So I know you went to your Kentucky farm this weekend. Were you down there burning? What were you doing?
Yeah, I like to go down. So, after I plant all my food plots in the fall for my whitetail, I go in and burn all the tall sage grass that I've planted there for cover, all the just wild alfalfa, fescue, and stuff that's growing. I just burn everything down and then bush hog it on top of that to get the briars out so that I got fresh growth coming up. Turkeys love that fresh stuff. And then what I do is I leave part of it up for nesting cover for my hens and everything too. So they have a place to go. So it's just always a fresh start, and also preps me for my fall for my deer season as well.
Sure. Did you see any turkey sign while you're down there?
Oh, tons of it. I mean, my turkeys are all still grouped up. I run a Browning cell camera year round down there. So, where I've had my mineral sites and stuff, I still had turkey coming in, picking in through that. And, my gobblers are strutting. I had a picture just the other day of like 5 gobblers with about 10 hens. Again, they're big groups still together, just now starting to break up. And the other morning I got up and was running late to go out and start doing some stuff, and I was listening to the turkeys gobbling first thing in the morning, which, dude, just hearing that gobble just gets you all fired up and accelerated all over again for season.
That's awesome. Nothing but that was my next question. They're firing off in the morning.
Oh yeah. I was going to get up at 6 o'clock, go to the woods and listen. Well, I didn't set my alarm. I fell asleep, got up about 6:30, 6:45. So I'm drinking my coffee, rushing out, got on the front porch, and all of a sudden they're right across the road. So it's like, oh, you know what? I don't need to go out. Here they are right here. So yeah, it was awesome.
It's such a cool sound. Just gets you wound up, doesn't it?
It's like no other, man. I mean, it's like, and when it's in the hills of Kentucky, it just echoes. And it's just, when you'll hear one, I mean, there was 3 or 4 of them gobbling over there. It's just like, you're like, oh boys, I want to see you here in a few weeks. So come play. So
that's awesome. I know you were at the NWTF, right?
Yes. I was there for the convention. It's a little bit of a smaller crowd, but I think everybody was ready to get out and see what's new and get out and start, getting that cabin fever. COVID hurt us a lot, here for the past year. So it was good to be out in the shows again.
Yeah. And you were there with HS Stutt. I was looking online the other day. Did they acquire Avian?
Yeah. So what HS Stutt or Hunter Specialties itself was bought out by Peacock, and then Peacock ended selling to GSM Outdoors. GSM is a huge conglomerate. They actually own Avian X, Flextone Game Calls, Walker Game Ear, Muddy, just a whole bunch of entities of outdoor hunting equipment. And they ended up buying Hunter Specialties. So they asked me to continue on with the Hunter Specialties brand, to keep doing what I did with them for setting up the shows. So it was kind of a little different coming into the show there, knowing that Avian X wasn't in our booth, but knowing that they're part of our company now too. So, but yeah. So Avian X is now just kind of together with HS Stutt.
How long have you been with them?
I've been with Hunter Specialties for over 25 years.
Really?
So okay. Yeah, it's I have a loyalty to the companies that have the good products and that that I believe in. Hunter Specialties 25 years, Realtree for over 25 years. So I'm just loyal to those companies that I truly believe in. Oh, look at that! There you go.
I pot call sitting here, an HS pot call. I'm at my desk that I work at, and so when I'm reading emails or whatever, I sit down here and cluck on it, and Amy's going crazy upstairs, my wife. But yeah.
Is that the double spur? Should have a slate on the back. Yep, that's the double spur.
Yep.
That is one of my favorite calls. And actually, if you go to my Facebook, I just shared a post today where that call is 50% off on the Hunter Specialties website. I love that call because it gives me the raspy, crisp cutting and yelping of a hen. I can flip it over and start purring like a cat on the backside of it.
You're
That's
exactly
what
right.
I like about that call. So that is one of my favorite calls.
That's what I sit down here and do. I'm playing with it today, and you get a good raspy hen on the front, then you pick it over and just roll it across that slate. It just purrs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I can't go wrong with that call.
Let me ask you a few. I won't make this for long, Carl. I know you're working, but like some of your setups, like we're talking about HS and some of your decoy setups and stuff. In the early season, do you use decoys? What's your setup? Are you using a Jake, just a lone hen? What are you going for there?
You know, Todd, I always use a decoy. And I'll tell you, here's my reason why I'm using a decoy. You know, they tell you, just listening to different guys who are professors and biologists, they tell you that when you make a turkey call, that turkey knows what tree you're sitting in. So when he's coming looking for that sound, I want him to visualize, see something that he thinks is making that sound. So that's why I use my decoys. And, you know, 99% of the times I'm on field edges because I know my turkeys that I hunt are going to go to those open spots to display. That's where the hens are going to be to feed and everything. And just by scouting with my Browning trail cameras, and I know that's where they're going to be at. So I always like to have a posturing Jake and a upright hen. And I always set my decoys like they're walking out of the woods away from me, from the woods. So that, but every time I've said that setup, that gobbler comes in, he keys in on that Jake, and he will go to that Jake every time in that particular setup. So that's why my Jake is sitting closest to me. So that, you know, and I use that also as my Jake. I use that as my yardage marker. Like I'll step off 20 paces, put my Jake, and then put my hen out a little further. That gives me a range of knowing how far I can shoot out there.
Okay. That was my next question about how far off you're setting them. And I guess you're setting them a little beyond where you want your time to come from. So he's got to walk past you.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I like up close and personal. I know with some of the new shot loads, you know, you can shoot out there to 50 and 60, 70 yards and everything. Man, I want my turkey at 15 and 20 yards. I want to see his head snap when I pull that trigger. That way I know he's going down and everything. Yeah. So, and with that, you know, that's why it's so important to sight that gun in too, because at 15 and 20 yards, your shot pattern is not that big. So you better be zeroed in and have a good pattern and know what you're shooting at that yardage.
What are you using as far as shotgun on your sights? You have open sights using like a bead, you got red dot, anything like that?
I'm shooting the Maxus 2. I love that shotgun, and I'm using the Vortex. I can't think of which one it is, but I'm using a red dot on my shotgun. Again, it lets me put it right on his head, gets me fixed on it. And one of the reasons I also use a red dot, I have a habit on a shotgun of pulling my cheek up and looking when I'm getting ready to fire, and you're going to miss it when that happens. So this makes me concentrate on what I'm shooting at, fixes on him, and then I can pull the trigger and drop him, you know, there. The shot load I'm using, I'm either using, I do have TSS, but I'll tell you cannot go wrong with Winchester XR Longbeard. I shoot a number 5 shot, and that right there with a good choke tube, which, you know, with our sponsors, that I'm having a brain fart of who's our choke tube sponsor, Indian Creek. That I'll tell you what, you cannot go wrong. That right there will drop a turkey 30 yards easy. Yeah. I love that setup. I love that setup.
I don't know what you've got. I've got that. I think it's a 0.65 black diamond, and it's deadly. I've got. I don't have the Maxus. I got the BPS Browning pump, 3-inch. And like you said, you want him up close, but last year I shot that one at 50 yards and he fell over like I shot him with a rifle. I mean, it's impressive what shotguns can do. And like you were saying before, I'm shooting those long beards. It's not like I'm shooting TSS, and still getting great patterns out of it. So yeah, very, very, very impressive they've come a long way in the last 50 years on shotguns. It's not the ones our grandpas were hunting with.
Oh, not at all. And guys, I'll bust their chops on TSS. TSS is great. It hits like a hammer, and where I like seeing a lot of TSS used is kids are using 410s in the TSS.
Yeah.
That gives them more range with that TSS and gives them better knockdown with that 410 and even the 20 gauge right there. So, shot has come so far too as well, and totally changed the game on turkey hunting for a lot of people too.
Yep. We were talking about the pot call that you use there from HS. What else are you taking in the woods? I'm guessing you're taking that same one I was just pointing out, and are you taking mouth calls, or what's your go-to there?
Oh, absolutely. I use a sickle cutter mouth call. I like that, and I like the triple trauma. It is almost like it's a 3-reed with looks like a tongue hanging down the center of it. I just can run that call very well. I have the closer box call. I mix it up. I like taking different calls with me to sound like different turkeys, because I'll tell you, I've at one year I was down at my farm, and man, I could not get anything to gobble. I was trying to locate a bird, and I was hitting box calls, I was hitting mouth calls, glass, pot, nothing was sounding. And I pulled out my old push button, was playing around with it, and just started popping it, and a turkey gobbled. And I can't tell you why. It may be because it was a little higher pitched, but it just had a unique sound to it that turkey liked it. He gobbled. We located that turkey, roosted him, and killed him the next morning. So, more tools in your toolbox makes you more successful at the job you got at hand.
Sure. I'm guessing just sometimes you got to strike his fancy, right? He didn't like the first one, maybe throw something else at him.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you get mid-season, turkeys get pressured a lot, especially in certain areas that, they get call shy, they get educated real fast. So it's nice to have something unique to throw at them, maybe even an aluminum call that just totally sounds different. That may be what you need to close the deal with.
How many, you were talking about it in your vest, how many calls you think you're taking in the woods? Are you kind of a minimalist, or you got as many as you can pack?
Well, I take at least one box call with me. That's just for my long range calling, because I think a box call carries so much farther than any call that's out there. I'll take the double spur with me because it gives me both glass and slate, so that I can minimize that down to one call. I have a call caddy I keep around my neck with my mouth calls in it. So I probably I do carry about 4 or 5 different mouth calls with me, but a total of calls, probably 5 different calls with me, 4 to 5 different calls.
Do you carry, you were talking about using like your box call as a locator. Do you carry a hooter or crow call or anything?
I carry the owl hooter, man. That's my go-to sound right there. But yeah, I'll carry my owl call for my early morning locator to call to get them fun. If I'm midday and I haven't struck up a bird, I love the go-to as a crow call. You hit that crow call midday, ha ha. You just next thing you know, just shot gobble him, and then it's game on. And that way you don't spook him, it's like, or he don't get him start coming to you like you would with a box call. It just gives his location away, gives you time to set up, and then you can start calling to him and hopefully work him to your location.
We're kind of all over the place here, Carl. I'm sorry about that, but
no,
I got a couple questions. Let's say you're walking through the woods, and you did say on your farm in Kentucky that you usually hunt field edges, but let's say you're stuck in the timber and you get one to strike right away. And you think he's hot and he may be coming. What are you looking for as far as setup? What's your ideal setup to where you feel comfortable that you've got as many bases covered as you possibly could for that when that gobbler walks in?
Well, number one, I'm going to rely on my camo to keep me concealed as much as I can. When I go to sit down, I look for the biggest tree I can back up against to kind of just blend myself into that. But also at the same time, I want to make sure I've got an open area where I know he's going to come through to me, that I don't have to shoot through a lot of brush or something like that that's going to deter me. Try to make the advantage yours. If you have to back up 20 yards, back up 20 yards to make the setup. Don't try to move in closer. If he's within 100 yards of you, keep that distance and set up that way, because so many times a gobbler will sound off and he'll sound like, oh man, he's 100 yards, and you tried to make the close on him. Well, he was a lot closer than what you pop over a ridge, and there he is, and like, now you're done. You hear that alarm put any day it's like, okay, it's done. So if I have to back up a little, I'll back up a little to make it happen. But I just want something bigger to give me enough back cover. If I can get a decoy out, great. If I can't, just sit down and just try to work him into range.
Do you? I'm guessing you're right-handed shot, right?
Yes, sir.
So do you try to get situated so I know you kind of want to. My dog's trying to climb in my lap. I know you're trying to get situated so that you want to be stuck in one position, but you try to get it so that your offhand has your least likely place for the turkey to come.
I try to make it like if I got a tree, instead of sitting right straight with my back to the tree, I'll try to sit to the side of it so that I can get that swing completely around to the left. It gives me the advantage. It's easier to swing to the offhand than it is to your strong hand. So I try to make the advantage so I can swing around to him if I have to.
Okay. You try to, if it's a ridge top, are you trying to maybe slightly just get off the, like the hog's back a little bit so that he's got to kind of come looking for you and you can't just periscope that head up?
Yeah, I'd rather be down the hill a little bit. They say it's easier to get a turkey to come downhill than it is uphill. So I just get down a little bit and let him come to me. Yeah, he'll periscope and look, but if you can, just be real still and keep calm. And if he's a hot bird, he'll come looking for you. He'll break that ridge and come down to give you that ample shot.
In Kentucky, how many birds can you kill? Is it just one?
We are allowed 2 birds in Kentucky. You're allowed 1 a day. So, which, we're very fortunate to have a lot of turkeys in Kentucky. Last year, me and my son, he come down, we roosted birds at night. We knew there was a couple of birds, if not 3, and which the footage will air on Waypoint. And when we got into the blind, we started calling and they all started gobbling. I no joke, we probably had 15 birds gobbling around us. It was like unreal. It's like we was in turkey heaven. And the footage is pretty cool because my son Joshua, I got him to where he can see down the field edge, and he's like, "Yeah, there's one, Dad. I see him. Oh no, there's another. There's 3, Dad. Oh my goodness, Dad, there's 5 turkeys coming." And so we had 5 2-year-old birds come into the setup and we doubled, and it was really cool to be able to have that opportunity to, one, kill my first double with my son, and that was his first turkey. But yeah, we've been very blessed that we've got a lot of turkeys there at the farm, and we're allowed 2 a day. And I've been blessed to tag out every year for the last several years and everything here.
Was it, and I can't remember, I think it was you and Brad that, where you had that GoPro set up underneath the decoy. Was that right?
Yes, me and Brad, we do that. We did that every year when Brad was filming with me down at the farm, and it was that same valley that we always kill those turkeys into. They all, for some reason, they roost at the top of the hill, they hit the ground and come right straight down to that valley and strut their stuff in that little field there. But yeah, we had the GoPro set right up on them, and that was phenomenal footage that we had on that.
Well, it was. You'd probably find that on YouTube on the Break YouTube channel, but it was good. And then he kind of, I think he got nervous there at the end of one. He like drill him and just plowed him over.
He did. Yeah, we, like I said, we put the hurts on some turkeys in Kentucky, but like I said, we've been blessed with that. So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, you just can't get enough of it. It just doesn't get old. It's awesome every time you get to shoot a turkey.
I think I've told you before, and I know I've said on the podcast before, I didn't grow up turkey hunting. My dad was big into fishing. So in the springs we fished. But then as I got older in high school and stuff, started running around my partner BJ, and he was like, "Oh, you don't turkey hunt? You got to turkey hunt." And the first few times I went, I was like, "Yeah, this is okay." But then as you start kind of learning what they're doing and you hear them, when they sound off in the morning, and you're like, "Oh, this is the best." And then there's the cat and mouse game. Well, is he going to come? Do I need to move? And
yeah, there's nothing like it. It's when they gobble at you and you can actually feel that hitting you in the chest. It feels like you're like, oh man, it's just it's a rush. But I was like you, Todd. I was not a turkey hunter growing up. My dad, we hunted squirrels and pheasants, and that's about it. We just did a little pheasant hunting, and my dad passed away when I was a senior in high school. So I'm a self-taught turkey hunter, and I learned by watching videos back in the day on VHS tapes of watching Eddie Salter, Alex Rutledge, Tom Stuckey, watching those guys. and just that's where I learned how to turkey call. I can remember having a cassette tape, putting it into it's the truck I'm driving down the road and listening to them make turkey sounds, and I'm trying to replicate them and everything. So,
Yeah.
that was back in 86, 87. That's when I started doing it all.
Yeah. It's, I can remember hunting with BJ one time. I don't know how old we were, but, and I could hear him drumming behind us. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And he goes, oh yeah, he's coming.
Yeah, when you can hear that spitting and drumming, they're within gun range right there. They're within gun range. So, and like you said, it's a feeling like no other, man. It really is.
It's a good time. Well, you get to hunt Kentucky, and then you said you were going to hunt Indiana. Are you going to see our buddy Jason Miles?
Oh yeah, I'll see Jason. Me and Jason, we always get together on opening day in Indiana, and we either take a couple of people out, new hunters or something like that opening day. We either try to hunt together opening day and then take the second day to hunt with somebody, or flip flop back and forth. So yeah, me and Jason, we've been doing it for years, and we'll continue to do it for years as long as we can and everything.
Your season comes in late in Indiana, doesn't it? It seems late.
Yeah. April, it's the last Wednesday of the month, which is April 26th or 27th. And it's just like, man, and I hate that because it can make it really tough. People ask me, say, when's the best time do you think would be for to turkey hunt? And, that's a hard question to answer because a lot of it's weather dependent on when these birds are going to start firing up, when breeding all starts and everything. I like to be about halfway through the breeding season. That way the hens get bred. Let's look at it this way. The way turkey hunting works, or the way that turkeys work, they gobble on the roost. That brings the hens to them. As the hens walk underneath them, they drop down, breed the hens, and walk off with them. And basically, you're trying to do you break them away from that and mimicking that hen and trying to make it happen. Sometimes, if they're done breeding, I love to catch them at mid-morning or mid-afternoon. They're still looking for hens to breed and everything. So that's what makes that noon, 1 o'clock time so successful for me. It's either catch them off the roost or catch them at noon, catch them at lunchtime, where so many guys give up. They just think, okay, we're done for the day. No, you're not done for the day. I have killed a lot of my turkeys between 12 and 3,
Really?
just because they're still searching for hen to breed and everything. And with those states where you're allowed to hunt all day, it makes it really nice.
Do you think that's because those hens are going to nest and they're still looking? What's the theory behind that?
Absolutely. Those hens are going nest to lay because they've been bred, so they're going to go lay an egg and everything. So, and they may go lay an egg and stay on that nest, and I have found, beginning of season, I have found hens on their nest, with full clutches and everything. And like I said, listen, a male turkey, if he has his way, he could breed year round. I've heard turkeys gobble in the fall. I've heard them gobbling in the summer. And it's the same way with white-tailed deer. They would breed year round, but it's just when those hens and those does are ready is when those bucks really get goosey, or those gobblers getting, fired up and everything. So yeah, just don't get, if it seems like it's tough, I tell guys, don't give up, be persistent, do some light calling, get a bird fired up, get him located, and then working.
Let me ask you this: as the season goes on, and I've always had more difficulties as the season goes on, probably because, like you said, birds are being educated and this and that. But I generally I have my best success first 3 or 4 days, and then it kind of drags off after that. What would be your advice as the season goes on? What are you looking for? Are you hunting the timber more? Are you still hunting the fields?
I rely on my cameras a lot, especially my Browning trail cameras, to tell me, where these turkeys going. Again, you may see early season, these birds are grouped up. You may have 2 or 3 gobblers still together, and they'll bust up as that season goes on and split off and break off and go. It's like a roller coaster. We hit that season right out the gate. It seems real good. Then it goes into a lull, and it gets real good towards the end of the season. Again, it's all about persistence. I like to try to rooster bird, glass bird, see where they're going, and try to get within that 100 yards matrix that I can try to work that bird. Now, does it happen every time? Absolutely not. A bird will get with the hen, and he just won't break off from that hen. He's going to follow her no matter where she goes. That's hunting. Just be persistent. Eventually you will find a bird that work and that you can kill.
So when you brought that up, let's say you've got a bird that's got a hen. Do you kind of give up on trying to call to him and maybe try to call to her? What's your theory there?
Oh, absolutely. I have had hens that have come in and that are cutting at me, and and I replicate what they're doing. And honestly, I've had hens come in that I'll run the hen off. I'll pick up a stick and throw at her, make her fly off and everything. If the gobbler's a little distance away from her, that way she boogers out of there, and I can continue to work him and break him on over. But yeah, if you can get a hen, get her fired up just as much and start cutting to her. I've had hens come in, and this is no joke. They've come into my decoy setup, and she's blowed up like a male turkey. She strutted out trying to show her dominance to my decoy. And yeah, and if you can get her in there and keep her in that decoy set, he's going to be on his way. So yeah, that'll work too.
Yeah, well, it's you get the luxury in Kentucky and Indiana of hunting all day. We've got here in Missouri, we've got to be out of the woods by 1. So it's always not only we hunting, it's always keep checking the clock. We got to keep going. If this ain't working, we got to get moving. Something's got to get moving here.
Yeah, and that does make it tough for guys because I mean, like I said, I think some of the best hunting is at 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and that just really stinks that you guys can't do it that way. So,
do you have you ever killed any like late in the afternoon, like let's say within an hour or so of going to roost?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. If I know an area that they're going to be in, I've actually set up and call birds right straight to me before they head to the roost. Right before fly up time. It does. Very rarely have I done that because most of the time, like I said, I kill either, like I said, in the morning, mid-afternoon. And sometimes, like I said, they'll go quiet and you can't find them in that roost area and everything. So that late evening is a little tougher because they've got roost on the mind, and that's where they're going to want to be at.
What's you just kind of mentioned it. What if it's just a day, and we've all seen those days where you just can't strike one? Sometimes they're just tight-lipped, sometimes it's pressure, sometimes it's the weather. What's your go-to plan there? What are you thinking on a day when you can't strike one up?
Here's one of the things I've done in the past that's really worked for me very well. I've got turkeys that they're henned up. Maybe there's 2 or 3 gobblers with probably 6 hens that are they're not doing anything. They're stuck with these hens and they're not coming off. They're not responding to calls. I'll watch those birds till they go to roost, and then I'll let them fly up to roost. And then I'll go in there right at dusk and I'll bust those birds off the roost. I'll scare them off the roost and have them scatter everywhere. Try to get a general idea where the gobblers fly to. Now, not my farm, it's big enough that they won't pitch too far. They just spread out. I guarantee you the next morning, a gobbler is going to be screaming off the roost, trying to collect all this hen back up again the next morning. And I have been more successful doing that on tight-lipped birds than I have ever done anything else.
That's funny you bring that up because your hunting buddy there, Jason Miles, had told me about that one other time, and I'd never heard it. I was like, well, that's pretty genius, actually.
It works, yeah, because now he's lost all of his girls and he wants them back, and so he'll gobble off his butt off the next morning to try to get him, and that just gives him a way to let me know where he's at. And I was like, all right, buddy, I'm on my way. And then you set up on him, start calling to him, he'll pitch right down to you, and then game over.
Nice. Well, I'm not going to hold you up too much longer. You're a wealth of knowledge, and I always appreciate you being on here, man. If people want to follow you, where can they follow you? You were talking about Facebook, some stuff. Is it just Carl Drake?
Yeah, just look at my Facebook, Carl Drake. I'm on there. Just send me a friend request. I do a lot of shares from Realtree, from Hunter Specialties, especially on stuff when they have product that's discounted, like the double spur. Go on there, check that out. Get that. You're not going to go wrong with that call. Realtree Carl on Instagram. A lot of our stuff is shared on there. A lot of stuff just hunting. I try to share as much of the hunting stuff as I can. Africa, if people want to see some of the stuff we do in South Africa, I share a lot of it on there too. So I just shared a post this morning of a live picture from South Africa of about 23 baboons on our watering hole. And in far back, you see a giraffe, and just having people see how many they can count. So I do fun stuff like that on my social media.
If you haven't heard Carl on the podcast before, you go to South Africa, every other year?
I've been going every year. So I've been there. This will be my 6th time to South Africa.
Yeah. And you went to New Zealand too a few years ago, didn't you?
Yeah, I've done New Zealand, I've done Canada, South Africa. I'm wanting to go back to New Zealand, and then Spain is on my bucket list too. So
Uh, well, Real Tree Carl has killed some critters, so look him up.
I definitely have, man. Been blessed.
Hey, Carl, I appreciate you being on here, man. Good luck in the upcoming season, and I'll get some pictures from you, and we'll post them on our Facebook page so we can see the hurting you're putting on Kentucky and Indiana birds. Okay.
Absolutely. And if people come on and follow me, we do a lot of live stuff in the field. So when we're hunting, turkey hunting, I'll go live on our turkey hunt so people can share the experience with us. So,
and I'm pretty sure I didn't mention this, but I'm pretty sure starting this year, you can catch, you also film for the break. That's going to be on Waypoint, right?
yes, sir. On Waypoint, we'll be airing in April with a lot of our stuff. The episodes on there, they can jump on and watch what we do.
All right. Hey, Carl, good best of luck to you, man. I appreciate being on here. I know you're busy tonight working, so I appreciate you making time for me.
Always got time for you, buddy.
Thank you, Carl.
All right. You stay safe out there, buddy.
All right.